Wait and watch. This isn't my line. It's a line connected to the story itself, and the entire story revolves around it. This story is about a girl who became so extremely possessive in love that what she eventually did to the boy, you'll find out in the story. Let me clarify. These are not just stories, they are lessons too. I hope we all listen to these stories and learn something from them. How possessive a girl can get for someone. You'll only understand when you listen to the story and what kind of dark practices exist today. You'll find out in this story too. I personally found this story very interesting, but also very strange. Now, for those about to listen, I'd like to say, if you don't understand the story, please start from the beginning. Some people listen to a little bit in the middle and then comment, boring. It only feels boring when you skip straight to the part about curses and supernatural elements. Some stories aren't directly about the paranormal. They need to be understood. If you're genuinely fond of listening to stories, then this one is for you. As for those only interested in ghost tales, please stay away. This is indeed a scary story, but perhaps not for you. If you've listened to my story, The Death Charm, then you'll definitely love this one, because it's somewhat similar. And if you haven't heard that story yet, I'll put the link in the description. That one is a very interesting story too, so without wasting more time, let's move to our story. Before we start, say a prayer, and make sure you create a protective boundary around yourself, because it is said that when you talk about such beings, they tend to come closer, listening with interest. If possible, check under your bed once, just to make sure no one's there. And if you're scared, don't turn off the lights. Let's move to the story. Hello everyone, my name, I can't share it here. Once you listen to the story, you'll understand why I can't reveal my name. The story I'm about to share, I was also very much at fault in it, and that's the reason these things happen to us. After listening to this story, your audience might criticize me too, but this is between me and God. The purpose of sharing this story is so that the mistakes I made, you don't repeat them. May God never let something like this happen to you or your family. So without wasting time, let me begin. This happened when I was in my first year of college in Chicago. I was in a co-ed program. There was a classmate of mine I really liked. In fact, every guy in class was attracted to her. I liked her a lot too, but the special thing about this girl was that she didn't give attention to anyone. Then, some events happened and we started talking. By the way, my sister was also studying in the same college. We weren't in the same class, but that girl became my sister's friend, and through her, our conversations became very good. Then, I started liking her more, and we started spending time together. One day I found the right moment and told her that I liked her. After that, she started paying attention to me. From the way she behaved, it was clear that she also liked me. At that moment, she didn't give me a proper answer, but from then on, her body language was always directed toward me. If we were in a class together, she would smile at me. And that's where our love story began. We spent great time together. We were together until university. Things reached a point where the girl said to me, "Marry me." I started dodging her, saying I'd talk to my family, but honestly, I had no intention of getting married at that time. Not that I was cheating on her or planning to betray her, but I wasn't ready for marriage. And the girl became very serious, extremely possessive in love. She used to call me all the time. At first I liked it, but after some time I started getting irritated. She would call me constantly. I had to report every detail of my day to her, from waking up to going to bed. I used to talk to her happily in the beginning, but alongside university, I had started a job. That made me very busy. I couldn't give her time. She became even more possessive. That's when I started feeling irritated. Why should I report my entire routine to you? This led to fights between us. Where there was so much love, now every call felt like I was talking to my enemy. Even in the little time I had, instead of nice conversations, it would all go into fights. Eventually, I stopped calling her. Believe me, even if you block someone's number, if they call, the missed call still registers. When I woke up, I'd find 150, 200 missed calls on my phone. I was very disturbed. This girl was extremely possessive. I had no idea she loved me to such an extent. I'm explaining this in such detail so that you can understand the plot, what this girl's obsession led to. Then there was a girl in my office I started talking to. She became very close to me, like my ideal. Now people will comment, "It was you who started the love, and now her being possessive bothers you." True. I loved her, and I did care for her. But I can't explain how dangerously possessive she was. Even thinking of her as my wife used to scare me. A girl who keeps tabs on everything I do from morning to night. I just didn't feel that vibe anymore. The girl in the office and I got very close. I sent a marriage proposal to her family, and with God's help, things worked out. Our wedding date was fixed. Let me tell you, I live in a nice neighborhood in Denver. After marriage, I was given some land, and my father told me to build on it myself. I had a small house built and moved there after marriage. Now the story begins here. That girl, the ex, hadn't stopped chasing me. She used to message me. I knew it was her. Sometimes emotional messages, sometimes threats. I can't explain how intense she was. Her messages used to make my hands shake. Then one day she found out that I got married. After that, she went completely insane. Calls, messages, from different numbers. Sometimes begging me, sometimes threatening me. She even tried to find out my location. One day she came to my office and created a huge scene in front of my boss and colleagues. I can't describe it. She behaved like she had gone mad. Anyway, this phase also passed. Slowly her calls and messages started decreasing. Then one day, she sent me a final message on Facebook Messenger. Wait and watch. That could be taken as a huge threat or just a normal message, but it really disturbed me. I ignored it, and after that, she went completely silent. Now let me explain our lifestyle. I would leave for work in the morning. My wife would be alone at home all day. In the evening, I would come back, she'd have dinner ready, and we'd take a walk in the backyard before sleeping. We were a newly married couple. Our house was a small home, surrounded by a fence with a beautiful backyard. Next to our house was an empty lot with a tree that leaned over into our yard. I didn't cut it down because it was the only tree around. I thought it would provide shade. In summer, that was our routine. About 15-20 days passed, and I noticed strange behavior in my wife. She had her own car, and she would go out for groceries or visit her mother, whose house was nearby. Often when I was at work, she would text me, "I'm going to Mom's house," and I'd say, "Sure, better than staying home alone." She started spending more time on her phone, chatting with someone. I knew her 2 to 3 friends, but now even in the kitchen while eating, she was glued to her phone. When I asked, she said, "It's my friend." I felt something was off. She started acting like she was angry at me, but not telling me. You know when you can feel someone's resentment even if they don't say it? It was like that. We weren't fighting, but she had become very reserved. One night I was sleeping. It was winter, so everything was quiet except for the heater. I felt like I heard a voice, like someone was talking on the phone. Not my wife's voice, but like a phone speaker from far away. I woke up and saw that she wasn't in the room. I went to the guest room and found her sitting in a corner, alone, on the sofa. Believe me, in the dark, in the cold, the way she sat, I can't describe it. It was very creepy. I softly called her name, asked why she was sitting there. She didn't reply, but the phone was pressed to her ear, like she was listening to a voice message and not responding. I shook her. After a while, she came to her senses. I asked, "Why are you sitting here?" She didn't answer, just changed the topic and walked back with me to our bedroom. It was very strange. We had never had the habit of checking each other's phones, but I asked her what she was listening to. She said, "A voice message from a friend." I felt suspicious. What kind of friend sends a voice message that makes you leave your room in the middle of the night to go listen in the dark? I asked her to show me. She played a little, then I stopped her immediately, just to reassure her I didn't doubt her. We were sitting there talking when she started wandering around the house. When I asked her why she was moving around like this, she said, No, I really like your house, so I'm just looking around." Her answer made no sense. She was just beating around the bush, but her attention was clearly somewhere else. Let me explain the setup of my kitchen. There's a window in the kitchen that opens to the backyard outside. The glass is tinted, meaning that during the day, if you stand in the kitchen and look outside, you can see everything outside. But from outside, you can't see into the kitchen. You can't tell who's in the kitchen or if someone is watching from inside. I could see that she was looking for some opportunity. I thought to myself, let me see what she's up to. All her attention was focused on the backyard. One strange thing I noticed was that whenever she moved around, she carried her purse with her. Normally, when someone visits your house and they're moving around looking at the place, they would put their belongings on a table or to one side. But she was carrying her purse everywhere she went. I decided to leave her alone and see what she was really after. My mind was focused on her behavior. The girl got up, and this time I didn't stop her. She took her purse and went out to the backyard. First, she looked around, then quietly sat down in the shade of the tree against the fence, constantly keeping her eyes on the door that led to the yard. She didn't know that I could see her perfectly from the kitchen. There, she started digging. With something, not anything major, just normal digging that she could manage. Then she took out a red-colored cloth from her purse, something that looked like a small bundle. After that, she buried it there and came back inside the room. Let me tell you, my body started trembling. The girl who had seemed like a very good friend now started making me nervous. I became terribly afraid of her. When the girl came back inside, there was a strange satisfaction on her face, as if she had accomplished some very difficult task. Unlike before when she was nervous, she wasn't in that state anymore. She was very excited, repeating even my smallest comments over and over again. She was now behaving like a crazy person. I became terribly scared of her, and started feeling afraid, wondering what she had done out there. The situation was such that I couldn't even ask her what she had buried there, and I didn't have the courage to somehow get her out of the house. But the girl started behaving very strangely. I quickly prepared tea and wanted to get rid of her as soon as possible. I placed the tea in front of her, and she said she had a request, if I could fulfill it. I said, "Tell me quickly," because I was in a situation where I wanted to get rid of her as soon as possible. She said she had a function coming up and asked if I had any party dress that I could lend her. This didn't occur to me as strange, so I said okay, and immediately went to my room and started going through my wardrobe. Then I started feeling like someone was standing behind me, near my ear, saying something. I was surprised. The girl had come near my ear. She was taller than me and was whispering something near my ear. Oh, I was terribly scared, but when she was whispering to me, I started feeling like I was being hypnotized, as if whatever she said, I would agree to. My situation became completely different. It was as if I wasn't in my senses. I took out quite a few dresses and gave them to her. Dresses that I hadn't even worn yet. She made a shopping bag out of them and kept it with her. The girl was now roaming around the entire house, sometimes opening my husband's closet, sometimes going through his things, sometimes wandering throughout the house. She was moving around the house like a child playing, with both hands in the air, as if making an airplane and playing around the house, moving from here to there, running around. This grown girl was doing such childish things, but after what she had whispered in my ear, I seemed to come under her control. Whatever strange things the girl was doing, I was also supporting her. Whatever she said, I would keep doing it. Although my faith was strong and I attend church regularly, so I had enough strength that I was still somewhat in my senses, but I definitely felt like I had come under her control, as if there were two people inside me, one under her control and one trying to separate from her. The girl did very strange things. Believe me, sometimes she would grab my ear, sometimes she would make strange sounds and come very close to my face and blow on me. Her breath would actually move my hair. I don't know what she was reciting and blowing on me. As my husband mentioned at the start of the story, I would sit alone in the room with the phone to my ear. That's exactly what it was. She would send me voice messages, and I don't know what she would recite and send, but I couldn't help but keep the phone to my ear. There was something in those messages that made me keep the phone to my ear while she kept reciting something. Those voice messages were also one-time messages that I would keep listening to. I can't say whether listening to them felt good or what the attraction was. Although she would send me voice messages in her own voice, it seemed like she was reciting something. She would tell me about her normal routine, but I found it pleasant to listen to, and it was such that I would keep listening to those voice messages with the phone to my ear. When her call would come, I would immediately receive it and properly answer her. It was like when an addict gets their fix. Exactly that situation had happened with me. When her call wouldn't come, I wouldn't feel at peace. Now the story continues from my husband's perspective. My wife started behaving very strangely. She would stay up all night on the phone as if talking to someone. If I asked her to show me the phone, the situation had changed. The scenario was different. She would avoid the topic, telling me it was her friend, and she was talking to her. I also didn't want any discord to come into our relationship or for my wife to think that I was perhaps suspicious of her. So I didn't force her to tell me who she was talking to. Anyway, this situation kept getting worse. She would stay up all night like crazy people talking on the phone. She wasn't actually talking, but it was like she was listening to someone's voice messages. One night I was sleeping, when I started hearing a lot of crow sounds around 3 to 4 a.m. This scene was so terrifying, I can't describe it. I started hearing sounds in my backyard as if many crows had gathered together. I felt like I was dreaming, but the cawing of the crows woke me up from sleep. When I woke up, I realized I wasn't sleeping, and these crow sounds were also real. I saw that my wife wasn't on her bed. I went outside and saw my wife digging in a corner of the backyard. I saw that on my house's fence and roof. On the tree, crows were sitting. I can't describe how horrifying this scene was. The crows kept cawing continuously, and it was as if some force was trying to stop something, and my wife was digging there. I called her name, but she seemed unconscious. I lifted her up and forcibly brought her into the room. She was completely unconscious and couldn't understand what I was saying. She was just lost in her own world. The scene outside was as if many forces had gathered around us and wanted to harm us. When I brought her and sat her on the bed, she looked so drowsy and fearful. I can't describe how terrifying it was. Her hair was all over her face, and do you know what she said to me? She said, "Wait and watch." My mind was completely shaken. My wife, who was sitting on the bed, started shaking violently and said in a strange voice, "You left me for this girl, didn't you? Now see what I do to her." When I heard this, my world started spinning in front of me. I learned what dizziness really means that day. My room was spinning around me. I was feeling so terrible, and the fear was at its peak. It seemed to me as if the same girl I had left was inside my wife and she was talking to me. My wife's voice started becoming heavy. Outside, the crows were cawing. Inside, my wife was in this condition. Even people with strong hearts would lose their lives seeing this scene. My wife got up from the bed and hid herself against the wall. There was a dresser built into the wall next to the bed. She would bang against the dresser, sometimes in one corner of the room, sometimes in another, as if some invisible force was lifting her and throwing her from one place to another. I grabbed her and put her back on the bed, and started continuously reciting the Lord's Prayer and praying over her. After a while, she started coming to her senses and said, "My head is splitting. I feel sick. Let me sleep." I didn't talk to her about anything else and let her sleep. That's how my night passed, watching her sleep the entire night, while I kept watching because I was in a terrible state of fear. I couldn't understand what had happened to my wife, and this was the same dialogue that the girl had messaged me last. Wait and watch. Anyway, the whole night passed. I don't know when I fell asleep in the morning because I had been awake all night, and perhaps my plan was not to go to the office, so I decided to let her sleep too and complete my own sleep. Then suddenly, while sleeping, I started feeling like it was raining. Water was falling on me. When I got up and woke up, what did I see? My wife had a bottle in her hand and was sprinkling it all over the room. This wasn't a water bottle. This bottle I had kept for emergency purposes, and it contained gasoline. She had already sprinkled gasoline all over the room and on me too. I don't know what was about to happen. I quickly grabbed that bottle and came out of the room with it. I quickly started the car, somehow got her into the car, and went to my in-laws' house because my wife seemed to have been affected by something. When I left the house, my wife became normal. Not the same condition as before, but she sat quietly. I took her to my in-laws' house and told my mother-in-law everything that was happening to my wife. They called a priest to the house. He performed prayers over her, and the priest said he needed to check my house. When he prayed and blessed my wife, he said she was under the effect of dark magic, and it had become very severe. Someone very close was continuously attacking her and wanted to harm you people. I immediately grabbed her phone and unlocked it. The ground slipped from under my feet when I heard those voice messages. They were voice messages from that same girl. I asked if she had been talking to her, and she said yes, this is my friend. The situation wasn't right for me to tell the whole story, but I understood everything. I explained my entire story to the priest privately. He said that girl had done dark magic on her and definitely wanted to harm her, and she might harm you too. She could do anything. Whatever she's doing, there's some occult practitioner giving her full support, and through him, she's getting all this work done. Your house needs to be checked because it's possible that girl left something at your house too. I asked my wife if she had come to our house, and she said yes, she came once, and I gave her some clothes. Then, after thinking, she said she was hiding something in the backyard. I had seen her. Because the priest had performed prayers over my wife, and she was somewhat normal, she started telling all this. The priest came home with us. My wife was left at my in-laws' house. The priest checked the entire house, and when we dug in the corner that my wife had mentioned, believe me, we found a small bundle buried there. According to the priest, it contained red powder, lemon, peppers, and other things that had now rotted. The priest said, "Look, this is a sign of dark magic, and whatever it is, that girl has reached your house. The house is very badly affected, so we first need to end this effect. We need to reverse their attacks. If this isn't done, it can even take lives." The priest said your wife also needs to be brought here, and we need to do prayers so that this effect can be ended. So it happened that Thursday was chosen. The priest said to let your wife stay there for now, because whatever effect there is, it's on the house, so it's better to let the wife stay there. On Thursday night, we'll do the prayers at your house. Then you bring your wife. Praying to God. Thursday came. I brought my wife home and called the priest. When the priest entered my house, my wife started pleading with me to save her, saying this isn't right. I started realizing that this wasn't my wife. This was perhaps the same entity that had been imposed on my wife through dark magic. My wife kept pleading with me to throw this priest out of the house, not to let them in, and to tell them not to recite anything when they start reading. The priest lit incense throughout the house and then made me and my wife sit in the room and started the prayers. He started reciting in a loud voice. My wife started screaming, crying, and pleading. To stop this, for God's sake, the priest said not to worry. Whatever is happening is now reversing on them, and those people are completely troubled because the dark magic they had done is now returning to them. So don't worry, this will definitely affect your wife. But, God willing, this will be cleared. I just sat there in hope because the priest was reciting God's holy words, so I felt reassured. After doing prayers for a long time, he said it would take 1 or 2 more times of coming to this house and doing similar prayers to completely eliminate this effect from the root. For 3 consecutive Thursdays, the priest came to our house and did the same prayers. Even on the first day of prayers, matters were controlled to a great extent. My wife's condition wasn't the same anymore, but gradually all those matters ended. Many charms were also found from various places in our house. The priest gathered all those things in one place and gave them to me, saying, now you have to go at night to a place where there's complete silence, quietness, where there's no human being far and wide, no movement, and you have to go there and throw these things and sit there and do prayers. He told me several prayers, the Lord's Prayer, Psalm 23, and other verses, to recite these repeatedly, throw them there, and then not look back. When the 3rd prayer session was completed, I set out at night. He said to go alone, so I didn't take any friend with me. I started looking for such a place that the priest had described. After leaving the city, I found such a place where there was complete silence. No person or sign of people far and wide. I sat down there and started doing the prayers. I threw those things at that place. When I was doing the prayers, the priest had also said that place would feel heavy to you, and many things would try to stop you, but you shouldn't worry. But my wife's condition had become such that I just wanted her to somehow come out of this condition. That's all that was in my mind, and that's exactly what happened. When I started doing the prayers there, it felt like many creatures had gathered around me and were screaming and shouting. That place was like a forest-like area with trees and tree trunks, and I was sitting there. It was a sloping place with my car parked far away on the road behind. It was as if someone was knocking on my car. It had a security alarm, so if you knock on the car, it keeps alarming repeatedly. This was exactly the situation, as if they wanted to distract me somehow so I wouldn't recite these things. Anyway, I completed my prayers and then threw those things there without looking back. It felt exactly like many things were following me from behind. I quietly came and sat in the car. I was shivering, and even though I wanted to, I couldn't look back. I was also afraid that someone might attack me from behind. Somehow I came and sat in my car, started it, and headed toward my home. After that, matters completely stopped, and since then, praise be to God, no such incident has happened in our life. Nor do we know anything about where that girl is now. Wherever she is, may God keep her happy and make her destiny good. That's my prayer for her. But whatever she did, she took the wrong path. Anyway, this is a lesson for those people who might be in such a situation. If you are wise, you can understand how such situations should be handled. Otherwise, God forbid, may nothing like this happen to you. These stories are not just stories. They are also lessons. What happened to me? May God never let it happen to anyone else. The purpose of sharing with you people is also so that this story can add some value to your lives. Thank you for sharing your story with us. So friends, I hope you liked today's story. If you like the story, don't forget to like the video. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for your loving comments. I read them and it feels very good. Please keep appreciating and remember me in your prayers. I take your leave to meet you in some other interesting story. God bless.